It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing another reaction discussion video that was suggested by one of you guys. So shout out to Domichi for suggesting this forum post on Reddit. And it's titled, Behavior Really Needs to Improve the 2v1 Situations. I wanted to actually talk about this. I think it'd be really interesting to kind of cover this topic because as somebody who mains killer, I've definitely put survivors in situations like these before. And it's just kind of sort of a part of the game, unfortunately, where, you know, you're kind of wanting to get that 4K for whatever reason that you prefer. I mean, it's just a case by case. You know, a lot of people will crash out about trying to get your 4K and stuff like that. I mean, say what you will, you know what I mean? Let's go ahead and actually give this a read, because it seems that the clip is just them being slugged out or something, which is perfectly fine. It says, being slugged just because killers want a 4K is something that hasn't been addressed and is a really unfun situation where you can do nothing because of other players' desire. Now, I want to stop it right there for a moment because I really want to take into account and really try to point out that they're already framing this post as to go after killer players. They're not entirely trying to focus on it from both sides, right? Like in the sense that both sides do participate in gameplay and actions that are unfun for both sides. Keep in mind that if the game is already lost, the game is already done. You're gonna have survivor players that will actively just choose not to be found. They will actively choose to hide or let the teammates bleed out, let their teammates sit there and stuff like that, instead of just helping them out or at least trying to, you know, get at least just either give up because you're like, hey, the game's already over, just move on to your next game, or they'll try to actively hide and rat it up, and then like the person on the ground or the person running around is trying to do the gen, and then they're the only one that gets found because of that. That to me, I think is a bit unfair because it's like, both players really are trying to do two different things. So that's just where I'm coming from that perspective. And that's why, like, I will pretty much play exactly the same way regardless. And keep in mind that we also can deal with things like ratting from the survivor side as well. There's no in-game mechanics to help prevent that. There's no in-game mechanics to allow that to be prevented. Because keep in mind, like, something like this may be irritating for a survivor player, but there is also a myriad of things that killer players have to experience as well. So this is just one of those things that is unfun for both sides, because I don't even think, at least from my personal experience, trying to slug them for that, it's not that interesting, because I'm just trying to clean up the match and just get it over with. Because keep in mind that a lot of the time when I've tried to just hook everyone at the end, there's an Unbreakable, there is a Deliverance, there's a 4%, and then it's like, I don't want to have to sit here and now have to re-down 3 more people because of the fact that I already got my win. I already, like, clawed my way to the top here, got my win, finally, like, okay, we're good. And then something happens. I'm like, I'm just gonna have to leave him then, because why am I going to hook for then the game to get reset for the 5th time? Like, it's just a waste of everyone's time. So that's just my perspective on it. I think that really is just annoying for both ends regardless. As well as the fact that people are probably attempting adepts, which you guys have seen me do on stream. I've attempted numerous adepts, and it required me to leave them on the ground so that they don't get hatched or fly out the gate or open it or get through hatch or whatever. Like, I can't have that, because then I'll have to then attempt the adept again in another match. And then if that happens again, adept in another match and in another match, and then just keeps on going forever. And it's like, I don't want to have to continue to play with horrible perks. I just want to get it over with, get my achievement, stuff like that. So then they say Burr, apparently it says, needs to find a way to avoid these situations. Maybe they could, 1, give basekit Unbreakable when there's only 2 survivors, which I completely disagree with, because I don't think that needs to be in the game. Because keep in mind, that's just not a good idea. We've already understood that basekit Unbreakable is already pretty terrible. They can easily abuse this in some way, shape, and form. We don't need things that are abusable. We need things that are good, balanced, and that people can all, either be able to counter, work around, or be able to actually provide a good gameplay bonus. Anything like that, terrible, because you can easily get the down and they get up, and then you got to down them, and then they get up, and then you got to down them. It's just going to lead into another situation where they're just kind of locked into that match pretty much because everyone keeps picking themselves up. It's not a good idea. So, not great. 2 says allow the slug survivor to bleed out so the other survivor could escape and both stop wasting time. And this is why I mentioned earlier that this what do you call it? The post is extremely focused on the survivor experience, but there's no understanding or any sort of like comment or anything like that that is talking about the killer experience, because they don't even think about why they do that in the first place. And that's the problem with the DBD community talking about topics like these. It's always this idea that they just for some reason need to victimize themselves and only see the one side of it. You have to look at the both sides to understand the game better. And unfortunately, I don't even know if behavior really does that either. At least somebody's doing it. I'm trying to do that here. If behavior were to do that, I think the game would probably flourish, but that's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, it says a killer adepts now requires 3 kills. Now, you could say that it should require 3 kills, especially because of the fact that the adepts or survivor is literally just going out of the gate or the hatch. So like making an adept easier for killer probably isn't that bad of that much of a bad thing. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I know that when I did cover adepts in the past, that there was like somebody who made a pretty good point that disagreed with it. I can't recall it, but I do know that. I mean, it's still an achievement. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe you could do that. So, and then we're gonna read this comment here, which is really important to adding on to what I was saying earlier. They say these changes could be good, and there will be not excuse to slug for 4K, but being a toxic player that enjoy watching other players having a miserable time. So once again, like I say, and I tell you guys every time when you listen to these videos and stuff like that, that I tell you guys, these people go in with the mentality, with their perspective, their bias, and they say it. They give you that information. That's why I tell you guys to analyze things. And this is a skill that you can apply anywhere. Is understanding and analyzing word usage, phrasing, and like from there you're going to be able to derive what the real motivation behind it is, what the real point is behind it. And in this case, they're not interested in the killer perspective. They're not talking about the killer perspective. They don't know the killer perspective, and they're not trying to learn the killer perspective. They're just going in with, I'm a survivor, I had this happen to me, so F everyone, F all killers, I need bonuses, I need buffs, I need this, I need that. And it's like, okay, but you're not taking into account why this is the case. You're not thinking about why it happens. Only at the very end, at number 3, do you want to just like, oh yeah, and adepts. Like, no, that's not how that works. And then at the end, after that, you want to throw in, oh, because they're being toxic. With that type of logic, which just doesn't make any sense, you could apply that to survivors too, right? And that's why I say it's a non-point, because if I were to say the same thing but just change the words so that it's killer instead, right? Oh, these changes could be good and not be an excuse for survivors to, I don't know, gen rush, or you could say to body block, or you could say to animation cancel under pallets, or to run to the corners of the map, or to use like meta perks or whatever. And then they'll probably disagree, right? They'll probably be like, oh, what the heck are they talking about? That's the same equivalent. So let's go ahead and actually take a look here. So this person says they won't do some kind of unbreakable feature, but they should give a button after sometimes to bleed out faster, which is not bad. That's definitely not a bad idea. Let me abandon once I'm down in 2v1. Killer can do this stupid 4K hunt and I can go next. It's mostly the lack of interactivity that the second last survivor gets that makes it so miserable. Self-recover, some kind of crawl buff, literally anything that makes it so that you can do something other than sit on the ground. I would even prefer self-hooking myself once hitting max recover for X seconds. Yeah, and then as you can see, like even beyond that, they're just going, oh, I love being slid on the ground after my hard day to work. I'm like, yeah, everyone works, buddy. Like, you're not special, you're not different. Or, oh my goodness, I came home after a hard shift and played a video game. Like, everybody can do that. Like, let's not take it that far, buddy. That's just where I'm coming from. That's where the entitlement starts to bleed in. It's like, dog, it's just a video game. Calm down. You know what I mean? And I mean, I've been in situations like this before. I'm like, hey, you have a phone, you can open it up. Like, I'm pretty sure there's also the go, like the abandon feature was there too. So like, I remember I've had that before. Like the second I hit the ground, abandon popped up on my screen. So I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. That's another thing that I don't understand. I think the idea is that they don't want to the last to find hatch. If you're either of the survivors in this situation, it absolutely buns. It would be so nice to have the option to give up or bleed out when you're slugged a second to last. But yeah, that's the thing. That is the thing. You know what I mean? Especially from a killer perspective, like we're trying to prevent hatch, right? And usually it's because of Adept. Usually it's because they're trying to get a 4K. Like nobody really knows what the hell's going on. There could be a multitude of reasons. And I'm not gonna like disagree that there's players out there that want to give people a hard time, because that does exist. But in most cases, at least speaking for myself and people I've spoken to about it or whatever have you, or just even in general, 9 times out of 10, it really is not that serious. You can make it so that if you die in this accelerated way, it doesn't count as a kill for the killer. So yeah, exactly. So you can see once again, like I'm telling you guys, this is what they're concerned with. Oh, let's take away more things from killer because they're playing on a way I don't like. It's like, okay, so why is it then if a killer has the same exact like logic, same exact words, same exact like phrasing and perspective, all of a sudden he's the problem, but yet you can speak in this way? Oh, we should take things away from them. It's like, for what? Like we should not be balancing the game around taking away things because they're, oh wait, I don't like how it makes me feel. Like, how about we are concerned with the actual balance of the goddamn game? Maybe this aspect is outdated. Maybe we should try to rework it so it helps both sides have a better time. Because we're trying to, like, a lot of the killer players are trying to prevent the hatch escape. Because Adept is a thing. Because they're trying to get a 4K. Because of this, that, like, any other reason. It could literally be they're a content creator. And somebody said, yo, get this 4K, we'll give you subs. You don't know what the heck's going on. So that's just where I'm coming from. It's like you don't understand what the hell you're talking about. This allows for the killer to leave you on the ground for some tactical plays before hooking you, but if they do what the Bubba did, they're never able to get the 4K because even if they kill the other guy, you will not count. But that, mind you, because I know that people don't play any goddamn killer in these places, that already happens. Because if I were to leave them on the ground and then immediately abandon, it like the stats on the tracker will literally say they escaped. That's happened before. So that's why if you guys ever see me playing and I'm streaming it, I don't even abandon half the time on killer because I already know that it'll just say I didn't get the kills. It'll say that it's a 3 out, or it'll say, even though like on paper, well, not on paper, but like on video, you're like, yo, or on stream, yo, that's a 4K. But then it's like, oh, I abandoned, so all of them are escaping now. So yeah. This person says we need an alternative objectives path. This basekit, that's all there is to it. Something that a last one standing can do to ensure a hatch relocated open with a key. Isn't that how it's used to be? But that's the problem. Like, why are we trying to give out pity escapes? Like that's the problem. That's the part I'm getting at, right? One person wants to talk about, oh, let's take away kills from killers. Yet another person can go in here and then say, hey, let's give free escapes to survivors. Why? But yet if the killer equivalent is, why don't we give them free kills? And then that's a problem, right? But if people ask for free escapes, all of a sudden that's perfectly fine. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just dumb, dude. Like, it's such a nothing burger after a certain point, because it's like, you already understand where the bias is coming from. You already understand that like they're only going to be batting for survivor and they're not going to ever consider the other side. And it's weird because it's like there's a minority of players that can look at both sides objectively and be able to point out like the bias, but also be able to point out that changes like these are only benefiting the one side. Like, if we want to have good changes, we need it to help both sides in some kind of way. That's how it works, in order to make the game more enjoyable. But for some reason, because they're selfish and they're entitled to having a free win every other game, they just have to make sure that the killer doesn't get something. It's like, dude, like, the killers already get nothing. Like, what are we talking about? And then once we finally do, it's like crumbs. Like, as we can talk about, like with the recent, like, you know, PTB changes, such minute changes that don't do anything for these killers. It's like, what the hell? Like, we waited for how long to get some actual like buffs to characters that are very bad or very low tier, and then they just give you nothing, basically. Ghostface getting an additional, what, 1 or 2 seconds cooldown reduction, but your add-on gets worse. It's like, that's not going to affect his balancing whatsoever. He'll still be just as bad as he was. It's just sad. There's a lot of characters that people really enjoy, and it's like, they don't get any better. This person right here says, I've lost so many Adept attempts because of the dumb 4K requirement. Really demotivated me from trying to do other ones when Hatch can so easily stop an attempt. The last one I really tried for was Springtrap, and that was stressful as hell. That's exactly where I'm coming from as somebody who went for them. Because I went for them many years ago, I think, at this point. I think so. Yeah. And on the console version, got that done, and then you guys know recently, it's like many years, it was like hilarious. It's not even that long ago. But regardless, I would say a few thousand hours ago, I guess you could say, on the game, rather. Attempted it, wasn't as bad as it was now, of course. Nowadays, it's really bad. Like, it's really bad. You're like, God damn. But anyway, I understand where they're coming from. I literally have to play like super like on point. I can't really make many mistakes, especially because a lot of perks that killers have, especially on Adepts, are just not really good. It's usually pretty bad. They say, yeah, I just finished speed 3ing all killers finally, so I restarted my Adepts for killers. I did Trapper and Raid tonight. It feels so awful to sweat like that, especially when I like to give people a break when they fuck up, like sprinting into a wall. Way more fun to have fun with people and dole out BP like the Candyman. If they won't adjust killer Adept requirements, they won't adjust the slugging and tunneling often required to get those achievements. Yeah, I mean, as you guys know, I'm not really a person that is interested in trying to get people breaks, because, like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm the only one that's giving it out at that point. You know, if I fuck up as a killer player, or if I somehow, like, make a mistake, that will completely destroy the entire game, and I'll lose immediately. So that's why I don't do it. But if you do that, hey, that's perfectly fine. At least with the people I go up against, I think it's just MMR and all that bullshit. If I slip up, make a mistake, pretty much game's over. It's just unfortunately that sort of rigid path, because that's just how strong the players are. Like, they're just going to take advantage of any mistake. But anyway. So let's see. They say, yeah, the fact that survivors can Adept with Hatch, but killers can Adept with 3K plus Hatch with quests and tome challenges, they've shown they know how to count when no survivor survived with the gates. True. The fact that this exact situation is the reason why people have been begging for an abandoned feature, and behavior added one for so many situations, except this one is wild to me. That makes sense. So let's look at this real quick. Just bring an offering for Hatch at main to central, 9 out of 10. So don't actually give a good change, just suggest to just bring more bullshit. Like, come on, bro. And here's another one. Another really stupid take here. This is, I feel like killers are slugging in Blood Moon a lot. I could be wrong, but it feels like every killer camps blood gens and slugs. So I didn't realize that trying to just play the goddamn game normally was a crime, you know. So my mistake. You know, I guess fuck us killer players for trying to just have fun or even just play the game normally. Nah, we're not supposed to defend our objectives, you know, clearly not. We're not supposed to like leave them on the ground so that they can stop pumping the gens at the speed of light. No, not at all. We're supposed to just let them do whatever the fuck they want. We'll just stand there and look at the stars, you know, on Springwood. You know, we'll look at the nice purple sky while everyone else runs around you and clicks at you and teabags you at the exit gate. That's clearly what we're supposed to do. I didn't know that. Clearly, I didn't get the memo. Clearly, but anyway, hey, they say I stopped playing events at the 2025 Halloween event because I had 10 back-to-back slug or tunnel matches in a row. This is what I'm talking about. The entitlement, the nonsensical responses, like, it's always just me. It's like you don't ever think about, why are they doing that? Duh. It's weird, right? Because it's like, as a killer player, I can look at a survivor's like strategy. I go, that makes sense, right? If I'm getting heavily body blocked, I'm like, yeah, they don't want this person to go down, because if they go down, then X, Y, and Z happens, right? Duh. They go to the corner of the map so the hook is even further away to waste more of my time. Duh. Easy to understand. hey, they're gonna crawl under a pallet, or they're gonna try to animation cancel to go under the pallet faster. Duh, I know what that means. I know what they're trying to do. I understand what they're trying to do, and I'm gonna try to see if I can counter that. But then for some reason, you have people like this, I go, oh, they just keep doing this to me over and over and over. It's like, okay, that's fine, but are you thinking about why it's being done? And are you thinking about how to counter those things? Or are you just going to sit here and cry on Reddit? That's my perspective, because I'm trying to understand the mentality. Because why is it that one person can sit around and understand strategies and understand why people do what they do, and then you got the other side that's just oblivious somehow, never heard of like the internet, never heard of Google, never heard of YouTube, never heard of anything to get more information, never DM'd somebody like, hey, do you know why they do this? Never went to a killer streamer that may be able to explain it. Like, nah, they just sit in their little bubble. They're not interested in learning anything. And it's like, why? Like, why is understanding and education and learning and all the kind of stuff with this game such a foreign concept? I can understand if you're a casual, that's fine. But if you're claiming to love the game and you play it all the time, at least you gotta learn something about the game. Like, you gotta know at least a little bit. You know, it's just really weird to me. You can autopilot a game and not know a damn thing. Like, that's really weird to me. And this person right here, because of fast track. Yeah. So this person says his perk doesn't even work properly in the event because he had to do regular gen and even trigger the skill check. And then, of course, Survivor main will disagree completely because they don't play any killers. So they go, oh, it's not even that bad. I'm like, what are you talking about? They were giving permanent progress to generators. If there was permanent hook states that killers got for a gen getting done, all of a sudden there'd be an uproar, right? But all of a sudden, if a killer gets permanent, like, you know, negatives to their fucking objective, all of a sudden that's perfectly fine. And that's my issue. Like, why is it only okay for one but not the other? That doesn't make any sense. Either both is bad or both is good. There's no inconsistency. It only works when the killer's far ahead. Nope. Most of the time you don't even get much value. That's not true. And they say your teammates are looping and not getting caught. So if that's the case, right, which is not the case for most people, because most players on this game are not exactly like amazing at looping. And shout out to Taterhead, because bro has taught a lot of us, the few that actually want to learn, how to actually loop correctly. But I know that a majority are not gonna sit there and practice. And especially because behaviors updates, they're interested in trying to only cater to the super hyper casual that is just interested in, you know, shift W, spacebar, shift W, spacebar, shift W, spacebar. Like, they're not interested in trying to actually, you know, mind game or engage with the tiles or anything like that. So I understand that, like, you know, they call it quote unquote looping and not getting caught, but either way. Or the killer is dominating so hard you never have a chance to use your tokens, which is not exactly the most insane thing. And of course, you know, the entity bot comes in and actually explains what it does. Right there, 2 permanent charges. But, you know, so I'm just saying. So let's see. I want to see if there's anything else that's interesting. I think that would alleviate killers chasing the 4Ks, making the devout emblem more lenient. If they made it so that any escape either had spawns as a 4th kill or made only 3 kills they needed for the max devotion, then fewer killers would act like this. Not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. They said I spent past few days chasing double pips and killer before the rank reset. Stressing about hunting down the last survivor really lowers the fun of the game in general. Yeah. I mean, but keep in mind, by the way, right? Keep in mind, by the way, that if there was a killer equivalent, like if it was like, say for example, let's say there was an equivalent for Survivor, like you're trying to prevent the 5th gen from getting done, and they found some way to extend the game out, right? Survivor players would most likely be screaming and crying and clawing their way to try to make sure that stays in the game. But if a killer player does it, as you're seeing here, oh no, that's against the rules. You can't have that. It's like, you know what a good example I can think of is like when they actually get in the exit gate and they wait out the endgame collapse. Because in my head, I go, okay, you wanted to make the game as fast as possible, right? You rush out the objective as quick as you can. 5-minute game, the one you wanted, and then they want to wait it out at the end game collapse. And I sit there and I'm kind of confused because I'm like, didn't you want the game to end as fast as humanly possible? Because you made the game under 4 minutes. Like that's what you wanted. You did, right? Like you only hard focused the generators. Nobody cared about being in chase. Everyone was ratting and hiding and didn't care. So why are you waiting to collapse now? Like this is what you wanted, right? Like you wanted the game to be quick. So like this doesn't make any sense. And as you can see here, another survivor main. Oh, you don't understand. The killer's entire life depends on him getting the 4K. Like, and I agree with this person. He just doesn't want to be punished for winning. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. So they say all you need to do is remove the hatch and make the survivor escaping via hatches and penalize the killer in regards to the pip rating. Depending on what the killer's current grade is, the hatch escape can be the difference between 0 pip to a 2 pip, but the grading system made it only so 3 kills are at max grade rank. The amount of slugging will go down, albeit it should be set where you can abandon 2v1 with 1 slug, let it by 7-4 for the timer. I do agree with that as well. My thing is like, which mind you, I've been in situations where I've been on the ground and it'll literally just let me abandon. So like I'm not entirely sure if that's like always consistent or if it's just like it just kind of picks and chooses. But let me actually read this. It says, as a survivor, you can get rewarded for losing twice. You lose the match, you get a free hatch reward. You then lose the hatch mind game, you get a free gates powered reward. You're getting prize on top of prize for losing. Think about that for a second and realize how backwards that is. Be honest if you're able. And yet if you're asking for more. You want a basekit freebie to counter the killer trying to do something about all freebies you're getting. Yes, you're asking for more freebies to protect your freebies. And yet I doubt at any point during that did you actually realize what a ridiculous request that was. So that I have to understand. I have to agree with that. You know what I mean? I do have to agree with that idea, because Survivor in general, especially lately, has been hyper focused on rewarding losing, rewarding bad play. I mean, let's look at the design of like Decisive Strike and Dead Hard, Deliverance, things like that. Like you're getting rewarded for losing. Like you got downed in chase. Oh, here's your Decisive. Here's your Dead Hard. You're bad at chase. Oh, here's your Sprint Burst. You could just get free distance because you pressed the button. It's like, what? Like, and then you compare it to the design around killer perks, and it's like, okay, this perk activates if the moon is shining a certain angle and at the second gen, and then you also have to look up at the sky, then look down at the floor again, and then you have to like make sure that you like scratch your ass and like sniff it real quick, and then hit someone, and then you'll get 5% haste. And it's like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? That's like the design philosophy makes no sense. Like, and mind you, I'm referring to like perks that provide high impact. You know what I mean? Something like lethal is not going to be that crazy on every single character, versus a perk like Sprint Burst that's active on any survivor that presses any run button and gives free distance no matter what you do, no matter where you are. You're just going to get free distance. It's like, what is this design philosophy, dude? Like, killer players have to get a fresh down every pain res, and yet they can get free chase extensions from pressing a single button. What the hell is that? Like, the effort is unequal in that point. There's a lot wrong with this game, man. But I really want to hear what you guys think, man. It's a bit of a long one today. I want to hear what you guys think about the topic at hand today, or any of the topics that we discussed in this video today, man. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hit the like, hit the sub, man. Maybe even become a member on YouTube or Patreon, or if you're subbing on Twitch. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and read off these wonderful members. We got Patreon, Crow Vader. All my YouTube members, Brando, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not J-Lo, Evil Peach, Cargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. Really appreciate you guys supporting, man. And if you also subbed on Twitch, just know that you got love coming your way too. Appreciate you guys, man.